If you have a passion for news and all things digital, a role within social media might just be for you. We've spoken to Sarah Marshall, social media editor for Europe, the Middle East and Africa at the Wall Street Journal, to find out what her role is all about and the skills you need to kickstart your social media career in the best way possible.
For the last 2 years, my main role has been getting kind of engagement and traffic for the Wall Street Journal on social media. And that's changed slightly in the fact that on the 6th of January we started publishing to Snapchat Discover, US only, so you can't see it here in the UK. And I'm also taking on more audience development type responsibilities. I think there's lots of different things that I've kind of worked on that I've got very excited about. And I think the main thing is just how fast news is changing and how fast and open newsrooms are to changing. So, for example, 3 or 4 years ago at the Journal, analytics weren't quite as part of the culture as they are now. I mean, you can see all around our newsroom that we're very data focused. We're using that, and so I've done quite a lot of work here, working with people, focusing on headlines, focusing on things you can do to improve the readership of your stories. That's the kind of exciting thing that I'm working on at the moment and going forward, particularly in audience development. So a typical day for me now is very much Snapchat focused. So I will get to the office by 8 o'clock. By then I'll probably have decided already what 3 or 4 stories I'll do for Snapchat, based on what's happened overnight, based on big news, based on what we're running in the paper, online, etc. And then I'll spend until 11:45, until publish time, working on those 4 stories. So writing the copy, finding images, finding assets, working with an animator. I work with a freelance animator, send him all the information that he needs for the top snap, and then I write a short bit of copy, usually based on an existing Wall Street Journal story, but sometimes I'll commission a particular story based on something that's happened. That's all done and dusted by 11:45. So then my day changes, and then I think more about audience development. I think any editor job will be a challenge in the fact it's all about judgment. That's what we're all kind of trained to do as journalists, make sound judgments of what are the most important stories of the day for our readers. Is this the best way of telling it? Something that we've learned on Snapchat, for example, is we are explaining news that, not in a condescending way, but we're presuming a lot of prior knowledge with our kind of core Wall Street Journal audience. They may be investors who really understand already the oil markets, for example. But for the Wall Street Journal audience, it might be explaining why, if gas prices go down to $1 a gallon in the US, what that will mean for them and how soon that will happen and things like that. One thing is accuracy. You're not probably going to, unless you go to the BBC, you're probably not going to get anybody else checking your copy. So you've got to be very confident that what you're putting out to 8 million people or 9 million people, if it's the Twitter account of the Wall Street Journal, is absolutely fair and accurate. So you've sourced that information. So, for example, what happened and who said that, etc. So it's all sourced, that your language is accurate. So it's things like, I see sometimes people using, companies like, Shell are instead of Shell it should be Shell is. So things like remembering that entities are singular and just basic language things that I think sometimes journalists, as they start out, they kind of perhaps don't know all of these things. They've been focusing so much on other skills. It's actually that language and accuracy that if you're going to social media, you need to be publish ready and you need to know those things before. So one thing that I'm doing with my students at the moment at City is focusing very much on Facebook video and on Snapchat video, because there's a lot of jobs at the moment in visual journalism, so making video that's suitable for Facebook, and that's going to be quite different from a video that you'd make for online. So a Facebook video, for example, you'd want to grab people's attention within the first second, because if you're scrolling up on your mobile, that splash screen is so important. The video has to work without sound as well, so you either use text overlay or another mechanism to tell the story without sound. So different conventions, and again, Snapchat video is different again. So I'm trying to teach those, or try to help those students develop those skills, because I think that there seems to be quite a lot of jobs around requiring those skills at the moment, and I think they can go into relatively well-paid entry-level jobs doing that.